And welcome back to Jeff Koinange live at the poolside of the Intercontinental Hotel. And yes, she's been away from the limelight for a year and change. This is her first live television interview since the 2013 elections. I wouldn't even tell you how we got this interview, but I have Wanjiro to thank for that and the confusion. Yes, it is the Iron Lady, Martha Karua, for the next hour. Send in your thoughts, comments, questions at Martha Karua, at Koinange Jeff. The hashtag is JKL. We are less than a week away from Saba Saba. Depending on who you ask, either the country comes to a standstill or life goes on. Let's ask the Iron Lady. Good to see you. Looking good?
Thank you.
I mean, you've been away. A lot of people, I tweeted you that you were coming on the show this morning, and people have said, hey, we've missed her. Where has she been? Talk to us. Thanks for coming back. So welcome back.
Thank you, Jeff.
We are 5 days away from Saba Saba, Mweshimiwa, and look, there's a feeling out there. There's a foreboding feeling out there that it's not a good feeling. Your thoughts? I mean, the fact that Saba Saba is being used as like the yardstick, if you will, on the way forward. Your thoughts?
I think we are overreacting. Monday will be a day like any other. The court has announced they'll have a rally, and they should, because there is freedom of expression, freedom of association. And I stand for the rights of everyone. So let them have their rally. They'll articulate the issues that they think are pertinent to this country. If people want to demonstrate, let them demonstrate. So long as people are operating within the law, let us not try to claw back on the freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution. So for me, I see nothing wrong. I don't have any bad feeling about Monday. Monday will be a day like any other. We've been told that it's not appropriate to hold rallies, that it's not time for political rallies. CORD has been holding rallies. They've all been peaceful. It's been okay. So why shouldn't Monday be okay?
Let me ask you this, if people want to go to work, and it's a work day.
Yeah.
Should they go to work? Because people are being discouraged from going to work on Monday. They're being told, don't go.
We all have our rights and freedoms. And my rights end where your rights begin. I cannot impose my will on you. So CORD, I do not expect that they'll be imposing their will on Kenyans. Those who wish to go to work must be left alone to go to work in peace. Those who want to go to the rally must be left alone to go to the rally in peace. We must all go about the business we prefer to go about on Monday. For those to whom it's a normal working day, they must proceed. And those who wish to attend the rally, they too must proceed.
What if it gets ugly?
If it gets ugly, anybody who breaks the law should be dealt with in accordance with the law. So that if X goes to prevent CORD from holding the rally, that's against the law. If any CORD supporter tries to prevent someone from going to work, that again is against the law. The law is there to separate us, to restrain us from infringing on each other's rights.
Sure, but let me ask you this. The whole symbolism of Saba Saba that goes back 20 plus years, isn't it lost in all this? Because you remember the founding fathers of Saba Saba, the Kenneth Matibas, the Charles Rubias, the late great Martin Gichugus, those ones who were there that first Saba Saba.
Those who were there, I was there, Jeff.
There you go.
I never went to the rally because there were threats of gender-based violence, but I was part of that movement. And Saba Saba was about expanding democratic space in Kenya, about freedom of assembly, freedom of association, freedom of expression, about respect for the rule of law and human rights. What I personally expect is that those in CORD, people like the Honorable Raila Odinga, the Honorable James Orengo, people who were part of that movement, I would expect that they cherish the rights of others just as they cherish theirs, that they will uphold the rule of law, and I expect the government as well to to uphold the rule of law. The government is the custodian of the law. That is the executive.
Yeah, you mentioned the former
And they are the ones who also facilitate the citizens to enjoy their freedoms. So we expect that the government will provide security, not just for CORD, security for all Kenyans on Monday and beyond, and even today.
Yeah, you mentioned the former Prime Minister, Mheshimiwa, and the fact that he called for this national dialogue.
Yes.
He called for it. He says, we need to dialogue.
Yeah.
Why don't you call for national dialogue as well? You're not in government anymore. Why don't you call for national dialogue?
My attitude, I will respect and defend your right, even if I do not agree with you. So it is within his right, one, as leader of CORD, two, as a citizen of Kenya, to call for dialogue and participation of citizens in governance in issues that affect them is provided for in the Constitution. So when a leader or a citizen calls for dialogue, they are within the law. And it is its right to call for dialogue. And I do think that the government ought to listen to its citizens, more so to leaders of political parties. I also believe that parties are institutions. Just the way we recognize Parliament as an institution, we recognize both Senate and the National Assembly as institutions. We recognize the county assemblies as institutions. Political parties are institutions. So that dialogue called for by a political party can either be with the executive, another institution. It can also be a dialogue involving political parties or other stakeholders. I do not see why we should be so surprised that a Kenyan and a leader at that has called for dialogue. I'm of the view that the government ought to be a listening government.
Yeah, but at the same time, if the dialogue is granted eventually, who's to stop someone else from coming up and saying, look, I want a dialogue as well, or I want this as well? Will you defend that? Because there's a government in place that's supposed to be working, that's supposed to be doing its job. Do they stop every once in a while to have a dialogue?
What I would imagine is that once a call for dialogue is made, that call is assessed. And I do remember the president on the 1st of June had actually said it's okay, that the government itself had already prepared a national dialogue. So the idea is not alien even to government. And when we hold such a dialogue, because not every Kenyan can access the venue, then you try to have broad representation. You can have parties, you can have civil societies. Even civil societies you can't invite all. But there is a way in which they assess and send out invitations broadly. So if there's going to be a national dialogue, it ought to be all-inclusive, and that will take care of what you're asking, Jeff. Calls for dialogue every day.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, what about those critics who say, you know what, this is an ego thing. It's one person's agenda, one person pushing the envelope to call the other one to order. What do you say?
I would want to respect the government because it's elected by the people, but I also would want to respect the opposition because it's elected by the people. And I keep on saying, and I've said it on my timeline, let us respect the leader of CORD, the Honorable Raila Odinga. Let's not ever forget that close to half Kenyans voted for him and the CORD. So when he speaks, let us give him that respect, even when we disagree with him. So when he's calling for dialogue, how dare we dismiss him as a one-person's agenda? And we know he has so many behind him. He ought to be taken seriously. And if you don't like what he is saying, yes, hear him out and give him your opinion. Yeah. That's my attitude.
So obviously there are issues that are being articulated here. Insecurity, corruption, you name it. Are the main issues wanting to be talked about.
Yeah.
And it's true, there are challenges in this administration, aren't there? The challenge, insecurity, people are running around scared.
It is true. But what happens is that challenges will be with us so long as we are on planet Earth. So when dialogue is called for, we listen to each other, then it will be the sole responsibility of the government to now decide how to move after listening to its citizens, because they have the mandate. but let them listen and then move on and do the work that they must do.
Yeah.
What I'm surprised about is that the government appears to sort of scared. When CORD calls for a rally, the government drops what they're doing and they run scared. CORD sneezes, the government stops. The government should, those in the executive ought to relax. If CORD wants to hold a rally or anybody else, let the rally go on. I do remember when I was in the cabinet of the former President Kibaki, and it was after the 2005 referendum, and there was the Orange Democratic Movement. The leading lights of that movement were the Honorable Raila Odinga, the Honorable William Ruto, now the Deputy President, and the Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, who then was the leader of official opposition. They went around the country holding rallies. I never saw the former president stop their rallies even one day. They even had a demonstration which I thought was unholy, demonstrating against the Kenya Anti-Corruption Authority then, KACC then. And among those who were demonstrating were suspects who were already in court or were about to be taken to court. Yet, the government of the day let all those things happen, but they deployed enough security to ensure that it was in an orderly manner. When you stop people, you create tension. You remember last Saturday, Eldoret? The police had said the rally couldn't go on. CORD dared them. Then they relaxed and let the rally go on. Yeah. Everything was okay. When CORD called for the rallies, there was resistance. But so far, all the rallies have been successful. My attitude would be, let the executive stand for the Constitution. Let us as citizens also stand for the Constitution. If you want to assemble, do assemble by all means. If you want to express yourself, do so. But let all of us respect the law, one. Secondly, respect each other's rights.
Yeah.
Do not offend my rights when enjoying yours.
I want to talk about those rights much more, because on social media especially, the hate level has gone to a whole new level. I mean, you can cut it with a knife. It is that thick. Let's talk about that after the break. And also, you talk about the government. Are you disappointed with Jubilee so far? Your thoughts after the break. And also, are you going to run in 2017? They want to know out there. They're asking, are you going to run? Let's talk about it after the break. The Iron Lady is in the house and she's holding nothing back. I tell you, start tweeting. Send them in. I can feel them on my phone. They're coming in thick and fast. It is an hour with a woman who refuses to take it sitting down, folks. I tell you, you cannot make this stuff up. Jeff Koinange live at the poolside of the Intercontinental